Welcome. We're glad that you could join us for this conversation. I am here with Dr. John Swope. Dr. Swope is professor or assistant professor of practical theology at Ashland Theological Seminary, and he is also director of our field study program. And so today we're going to be talking about field study and how field study integrates with our Master of Divinity and Master of Arts and Christian Ministry degrees. And the significance of field study. So John, thank you for joining us. Glad that you could take some time.
Well, thank you. I'm really glad to be here.
Very good. So I do want to talk about what field study is and why it is important, but talk to us a bit about your role in the program as director.
Well, other than that, I'm the director of field education. I'd like to share a little bit. I was brought in to this position in 2012 for the purpose of really revamping it and looking at how it functions and how to make it function as powerfully as possible for our students. And so, not to take you through all the ins and outs, I want to keep this answer brief, but what I've done is I've designed a program that I think is successfully sets out to allow adult students to experience ministry at their own pace and in their own way, so that it seamlessly integrates with not only with what they're learning academically, but where they're ministering or where they're feeling led to minister. And so I'm really excited to be leading this program.
Wonderful. And you used, I do want to say something, you used the phrase field education. I said field study, which is an older term that sometimes it's hard to come out of. But field education is really a better term and not term for this, because it really is much broader. Study kind of suggests something that's heady and intellectual, but this is really about an experience of ministry.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, Matt. As a matter of fact, we call it the field education program, I'm director of field education, but each course of field education is called field study. So introduction to field study 2, field study 3, field study capstone. So,
okay.
So we still use the term, but overall, yes, it's a broad field of study, which is called field education.
Very good. So tell us a little bit about it. I mean, you told us a little bit about it, but tell us why it is important at Ashland Seminary in terms of our Master of Divinity and our Master of Arts and Christian Ministry degree.
Yeah, well, both of those degrees, Matt, are designed to help students prepare to do ministry. Not necessarily church ministry, although that is absolutely a large part of them, but it's also for students who are feeling led into ministries that may be focused outside the walls of a church or not even, grounded within a church of any kind. But just working as the church out in the community. So in any case, those are practical degrees that teach you how to do ministry. And so field study is that part of this seminary process that requires students to actually do ministry, to learn how to do ministry, which makes sense, right? In any field you're in, whether that's medicine or counseling, you have internships where you need to be out in the world, gaining that practical experience, and seminary is no different. And these two degrees, especially Master of Arts and Christian Ministry and Master of Divinity, are both courses of study that require that field ministry practice. And so field study provides that opportunity to practice what you are learning in your classes and to practice it in the real world. So as I've mentioned, our program includes several sections of field study for each ministry degree. Each section requires a certain number of hours of ministry practice, and each one also focuses on a different aspect of ministry, and then students will focus on improving in that area or that dynamic of ministry.
Very good. So part of what I hear you saying is that field study is integrated with a degree program with the classes that they take and the subject matter of those classes. Mm-hmm. How to apply that to ministry.
Yeah. And that's done organically. I don't have a list of topics they're learning in their classes and then figure out an assignment. We don't work like that. This is again, as adult learners, we are actively integrating what we learn, but here's how that works in field study. Because students are taking several sections of field study, That means that they are doing ministry practice in several different semesters while they are taking then a full slew of other courses. So that means they have a venue to immediately implement what they're learning in their academic courses. They don't need to wait and learn it and remember it and then try to implement it, some semester in the future. They can practice it immediately as they're learning something. So what would that look like? If they're learning, pastoral counseling skills, or they're learning, simple, listening skills. They can practice that immediately in the real world setting. So that integration, it happens organically, but it's intentional and it's immediate.
So this is really a cumulative process in the sense that it's a building process throughout the academic experience of the students.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. So if I were to take a look at Ashland Theological Seminary for my MDiv or my MACM degree, what would you say makes the field education program at Ashland Seminary stand out as a program?
Yeah, well, one of them may escape your notice, and that is what I've already mentioned, that it's because it's several sections, it's integrated in the curriculum. It's not something off to the side that, oh yeah, I have to get field study done sometime. It's an actual part of the program so that they're constantly thinking in terms of, I need to put what I'm learning into practice. But aside from that, just an organic structural piece of it, one of the things that's really wonderful about Ashland's field study program is that students get to determine their own field site and their own mentor. So even though that's a responsibility on them, it means that they can focus their practice of ministry in the context that they want to serve and in the direction that they feel God is leading them. So this is a chance for students to really contextualize their seminary experience into the ministries types that they want to experience in their education. Another way that I think that the field study at Ashland stands out is that each section of field study is designed with the adult learner in mind. Now, what that means is that there is a focus area provided and guidelines are given as far as what assignment to do, but within those parameters, each student gets to determine what they're going to develop. Well, what is it? Is it a ministry skill, or what aspect of within the parameters that they're going to grow? And then they determine what they're going to do to make sure that they grow. And they're even going to determine how they're going to determine how much they've grown, how to kind of measure their growth. Every class is kind of based on that model of learning. So they are in the pilot seat. They get to drive what they're learning and what they're doing to learn it and how they know to learn it. The third thing that's very important about it really stands out is that it's the program is not just doing ministry. It's not just the point of, have you done this? Have you preached 3 sermons? Have you attended a board meeting? It's not like that at all. The real key here is that you're doing ministry, yes, but that you're reflecting. You're actively reflecting on the ministry that you're doing with mentors and peers, co-students. You're reflecting on the ministry you're doing. And also then third, you are intentionally improving in those areas of ministry that you have identified that are pertinent to your own personal and professional growth. So that it's a real powerful combination of opportunities to learn and grow. There's enough to stimulate you and focus your energies and give you food for thought, but you're also self-determining, how the Lord is leading you and what you need to work on this semester to take you to where God wants you to be by the end of the semester.
Well, it sounds like the field study program is quite robust and allows students to really integrate their experience in their context of ministry in a very intentional way.
I hope so.
Yeah, very good. So the last question I'd like to ask you before we wrap things up is, can you share some of the feedback from past students about their experience with the field education program?
I'd love to. Yeah, every semester in the capstone field study, we have a graduation interview where we sit down with students and their mentors, and we reflect on how God has worked through them in ministry and how God has worked in them, informing them as followers of Christ and as ministers of the gospel. And part of that interview, I get a chance to hear back from them a little bit of what they've thought of their experiences. And it's amazing what students find beneficial, just the variety, I guess. First of all, I think students do appreciate the fact that they are in control of their field study experience. This is not something coming down mandated. And that's very important because some of our students have been in ministry for years and years, and some of them have never really been in ministry at all. They're just getting started. And so from wherever you are in control. And then, I give you the assistance through this program to allow you to go to whatever the next step is. So aside from that, some high points. The students' site is the cross-cultural encounter, which is part of their Field Study 2 class. In that assignment, in that class, students are assigned to develop and deepen a relationship with a person from another culture. And out of that experience comes obviously a lot of personal growth, but sometimes lifelong friendships, sometimes partnerships within churches of different cultures using the same facility. So there's been all kinds of neat things come out of that. Other students have appreciated the opportunity to match their personal strengths with a real need at their field site, which is what they do in Field Study 3 through something called the Advanced Ministry Project. So, that's kind of a neat thing as well. Regularly, and this might surprise people who maybe have doubts about online education, but regularly students highlight how much they've enjoyed the online forums, where they get to share their thoughts and struggles and triumphs and feelings with other students. And what comes out of that again and again is just how encouraging it was for students to realize that the things they were experiencing and feeling, they weren't alone in, that there were others out there who were going through very similar things.
Wow, very good. Well, John, thanks so much for sharing with us. And I'm assuming, of course, that if anyone is interested in learning more about field study, they can contact you directly.
Absolutely. I would be glad to talk with them or answer any questions.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, they can get reach you at your email, jswope@ashland.edu.
Yeah, my email is probably the best way with COVID and being in and out of the office. Email is a real surefire way to get me. Yeah, it is jswope, that's JSWOPE @ashland.edu.
Fantastic. And I would also like to say to folks that if you'd like to reach Dr. Swope as well, you can do it by going to the seminary website, Ashland, or seminary.ashland.edu. And if you click on for more information, you can complete that information and we can get you in touch with Dr. Swope as well. Well, John, thank you so much for joining us, and appreciate you taking your time to share with us.
That was my pleasure, Matt. All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah, take care.